A social construction is something that exists as a result of human interaction. It exists because humans agree that it exists. By structuring what they see and experience into categories, humans have created constructions in order to make sense of the objective world. Race is a social construction with profound implications. While constructions of race vary across time and place, racial inequality remains a social problem throughout the US and the world. W.E.B. Du Bois was concerned that race was being used as a biological explanation for what he understood to be social and cultural differences between different populations of people. He spoke out against the idea of white and black as discrete groups, claiming that these distinctions ignored the scope of human diversity. Today, the mainstream belief among scientists is that race is a social construct without biological meaning. And yet, you might still open a study on genetics in a major scientific journal and find categories like white and black being used as biological variables. Race is not biological. There is no gene or cluster of genes common to all blacks or all whites. If race were real in the genetic sense, racial classifications for individuals will remain constant again across boundaries. Yet a person who could be considered black in the US might be considered white in Brazil or colored in South Africa, which is a sharp contrast to how race is conceptualized in the US, where the one drop rule has long dominated. Although American culture recognizes biracial individuals, people are generally considered black or treated as such if they have descended from any black relatives to any degree. A biracial person is therefore categorized fully or primarily in terms of the disadvantaged social group. Like race, racial identity can be fluid. How one perceives his or her racial identity can shift with experience and time, and not simply for those who are multiracial. These shifts in racial identity can end in categories that our society has not even yet defined. However, unlike race and racial identity, the social, political, and economic meaning of race, or rather belonging to a particular racial group, have not been fluid. Racial meaning for non European groups have remained stagnant. For no group has that reality been more clear and more true than the African American. The fact that race is a social construct defined by markers such as skin color, hair texture, eye shape, ancestry, identity, performance, and even name does not mean that racial classifications are free of consequence or tangible effects. Assumptions about genetic differences between people of different races have been obvious social have had obvious social and historical repercussions, and they still threaten to fuel racist beliefs. In conclusion, race is a social construct contingent on collective acceptance, agreement, and imposition. Race has always been defined by the dominant group in society, and race indicates differences in status. The status indicated by which race you are either includes or excludes one from broader social constructs and disables or enables certain powers.